But I feel your point. You're trying to say if there's no investment in it, and I think the reality is that the technology right now, brother, allows for people who may not have been able to afford that $1 million studio to be able to have a message heard. And being that Pro Tools can be jacked off the internet, and that, you know, basically as long as you have a room where you could throw some bounty towels up and grab some piece of shit mic, you could really come up with something that is similar in quality to what other people are doing, as long as the mix down could be done correctly. And I think that creates a market which is so much more competitive, because it does something in which that the majors used to pay money to destroy. In the same way that, you know, car companies bought the rights to the electric car back in the day. It's the same reason that people want to take competitive products out of the marketplace. Because there's a rapper who's talking about something that no one else is, or there's someone who has a unique style to where they make other rappers look stupid when they rhyme. You know, back in the day, the strategy of record labels was to sign these people very quickly and then to put them on the shelf for years. It happened in America, and I know it happened here in England too, because I've personally met rappers from out here that are real nice, that I'm like, yo, you know what, these people were given a raw deal in the very beginning because they endangered the flow. But now you can circumvent that by saying, okay, I'll make my own music and I'll promote it through the internet, or I'll promote it through the street, or I'll promote it through the mixtapes, or whatever it may be, and it's right up there with everybody else's music. So you have a direct competition with someone who is paying millions of dollars out the ass, or getting economically raped by their own label to have their voice out there. So I think that in that respect, the playing field has become more level to allow independent artists to have a voice of their own. The only difference is that now every independent act is being brought up by the majors because they anticipated that in the beginning. You know, they're coming up with a contingency plan for their own demise. So now it's just up to me and anyone else out there with the soul or the real heart of hip-hop that runs in their veins to be out there to say, you know what, we're going to continue doing this, and we don't need your permission or your blessing to do what the fuck we want to do. And if you don't like that, you're welcome to kill yourself.
Why is it only a press event and it's not open to everybody and only select set of people? Why is it only a press event to people that have been invited, only people from the press or student university?
I was aware that they, my man, I couldn't like
it. Not true, dude. I'm from me.
That's a misunderstanding I got when I was told to basically promote it on the radio show. I was told that you can't promote it.
That's crazy. Who the fuck said that?
That's just been all over forums and everything.
Yeah. Okay, well that's what I was told, so that's fine. Okay, so, next question, what do you do apart from performing? Because I know a lot of people tell me you do works in schools. Apart from you being a performing artist, what
specific
do
things?
Yeah.
Sure. Well, some of the most recent projects I was involved in was some work with the South Central Farm, which was a collective of farmers that came from Mexico and from indigenous communities up and were granted a piece of land, right? And this opened my eyes to land right issues that are going on all around the world, whether it's in Africa or Central America or the Caribbean. And it gave me a clear understanding of an immigration crisis as well, because people were talking for their immigration status in America. So besides the South Central Farm, I was also involved with working with a group called SJP in the United States, which is Students for Justice in Palestine. And we raised well over $10,000 for a children's hospital in Ramallah, which I felt was incredibly important, because even though we were being demonized by the press, even though they were out there saying, oh, you guys are funding terrorism, by what? By keeping 4-year-old children alive? We're funding terrorism? Every opportunity that they take, the devil is going to throw something at me, and that's fine. I recently was working with a group called Omaid International, and we're not ready to announce it, but we have the plans and work to build an orphanage in Afghanistan, near Kabul, for the children that are victims of the war, as we put it. Because in this country, there's a very different understanding of what homelessness is. You know, in America or England, if there's a homeless child on the street, you see a homeless motherfucker here and there, but you see a homeless child on the street, and you know that CPS or the equivalent of that here in London is coming to get that child. That somewhere at some point they might not be in the best place, but they'll be in some sort of foster care or in the charge of the authorities. But in a country like Afghanistan or a country like Iraq or a country that doesn't have a specific structure because it's been overthrown, that child is going to be kidnapped and sold into slavery, into the sex trade. You know what I mean? Something horrible and disgusting, and it's going to be supported by rich white businessmen that come from countries like this. Sure. And I think that in order to get past that, that's one of the things I wanted to focus on. And besides that, I own a large piece of land that I'm developing for collective farming in Latin America. So there are several different projects that I work on, brother. But I think that yeah, that's also what contributes to me taking so long to put out music as well. You know, it's been 4 years. I know some of y'all motherfuckers in this room is mad at me. You know, it's been, there's a lot of things that I do now, but more importantly, brother, there's a lot more things I would like to do. There's a lot more people I would like to reach out to from different communities, not just the Middle Eastern community and the Latin American community, but now much more so to the African community, because I'm getting in touch with a lot more people from West Africa, from Nigeria, from all sorts of places that are explaining to me, listen, you know, let me tell you what's going on in my hood, in my native country. You know, not to discredit that no one else has drama in their side of the world, but more to say, hey, you know, Technique, we know you listen. So, you know, is there a book I can give you or something? I'm more than happy to build with those people.
Let's take one down here, front.
Can you tell us a bit about your new album and what sort of direction you're taking in comparison to your earlier work?
Well, I mean, The Third World is a mixtape album in the fact that, you know, The Middle Passage, Revolutionary Volume 3 are long-term works. Things that I started thinking I was going to do something real short, and then it turned into something in like an epic saga. But that's the same way it is with all things, because with Revolutionary Volume 1, I thought it was going to be a 5-song EP. It turns into a monster of an album. Volume 2, I think, all right, you know what? I'm going to do an EP this time. I'm going to stick to the script. And all of a sudden, I wake up and there's 18 tracks there, and I'm thinking to myself, I can't just scrap this stuff. All of it is personal to me. So with The Middle Passage and with Revolutionary Volume 3, I literally have like 25 songs right there. And then I had songs that Green Lantern was coming to me with beats, and he was saying, yo, I just give you tracks, whatever. And my man Southpaw at the time came to me with just straight beats. And although they were incredibly powerful songs, they didn't match the conceptuality of what I wanted to put out for Volume 3. Not in the sense that they're not worthy of album cuts, it's just that they specifically talk about the third world in itself, but all different aspects of it. For example, we were talking about gentrification on the song The Harlem Renaissance, which talks about how the hood's being taken over, how the whole place was red line districted, meaning that the bank wouldn't mortgage a loan, and it so happily coincides that all the places that are red line districted are areas where black and Latino people live. So everywhere else is great and ripe for investment, but where we live is so fucked up that that's why nobody owns their homes, and that's why large million-dollar developers can come in, buy everybody out, raise the rent 400%, have people in the street, they kick them into a suburban ghetto and then pull it back. And I explain to people, these are completely relatable to somewhere where there's an example of people getting thrown out of their land, like, for example, in Palestine. Or if we talk about economic ethnic cleansing, well, what about ethnic cleansing in Bosnia? Isn't it, you're doing something very similar, but in an economic way to what other people want to do, but you're getting the same results because you want a specific type of demographic of people removed so you can replace them with what it is. It's a way to circumvent democracy. And that's no stranger to anybody who grew up in this country, because democracy is not the all and perfect solution to the problem. You know, when Northern Ireland wanted to vote for its freedom, they said, sure, we'll give you democracy. And then what they do? They rip people out from Northern Ireland, move people from the home island over there, redistricted it, and said, vote now. And they got the fucking results they wanted, which is to keep those people there and to keep them economically subservient to whatever they wanted to do.